The fire is dying. The night grows colder. And somewhere deep within the shadows of Africa, something is watching. For generations, forgotten villages have whispered stories of cursed forests, wandering spirits, ancient gods, and creatures that only appear after midnight. Some say they are only myths. Others know the truth. Tonight, you will hear stories never meant to be told. Welcome to African Folktales by Cora, where ancient legends awaken and every shadow hides a nightmare. And before this story begins, subscribe now. Because in the old villages, they say if you ignore a warning from the darkness, you may hear a knock at your door tonight. In the village of Kasele, there lived an old woman who could see death before it arrived. And once she spoke your fate, it never failed. The rain had not stopped for 3 days. Dark clouds covered Kasele village like a curse waiting to awaken. Children no longer laughed outside. Even the animals had become strangely quiet. At the edge of the village, beneath a dying baobab tree, stood the crooked hut of Mama Nali. Nobody visited her willingly. Nobody said her name loudly after sunset. Because everyone feared the same thing. Mama Nali knew how people would die. Not rumors, not guesses, exact deaths. Years earlier, a farmer insulted her in the marketplace. Mama Nali stared into his eyes and whispered, "You will not survive the night fire." The man laughed. That same evening, lightning struck his grain hut while he slept inside. Another time, she warned a fisherman, "The river will swallow you before sunrise." The next morning, villagers found his empty boat drifting alone. After years of such deaths, fear spread through Kasele like disease. But Kito did not believe these stories. Young, stubborn, and proud, Kito believed fear only controlled weak people. One evening, while elders spoke nervously around the fire, Kito laughed loudly. "She is just an old woman." The entire gathering fell silent. An elder leaned forward slowly. "Be careful what listens when you mock death." But Kito only smirked. "Then let her tell me how I die." The elders exchanged terrified looks. One woman quietly stood and walked away from the fire. Nobody wanted to hear such words spoken aloud. But Kito had already made up his mind. That night, carrying only a lantern and spear, he walked toward Mama Nali's hut. The deeper he moved into the darkness, the colder the air became. Strange charms made from bones and feathers swung outside her home. The wind made them rattle softly like tiny whispers. Then, the door opened by itself. Mama Nali sat alone beside a weak fire. Her pale eyes reflected the flames strangely, almost as if something else stared through them. "You should not have come," she whispered. Kito forced a laugh. "They say you know death." Mama Nali remained silent for a long moment. Then slowly, she lifted her eyes toward him. The fire suddenly crackled violently. Outside, the wind stopped, and the old woman whispered, "You will die before the rain ends." Kito felt his stomach tighten. she continued. You will die screaming beneath the Red River. The room became unbearably silent. Kito forced himself to smile. You expect me to fear old stories? Mama Nali leaned closer. I do not create death. Her voice lowered almost to a whisper. I only see it coming. Suddenly, a scream echoed outside. Kito rushed from the hut. Villagers carrying torches ran toward the river path. A child had disappeared. Only tiny wet footprints remained in the mud, leading toward the river forest. And beside them, long dragging marks, as if something huge had pulled itself through the ground. Fear spread instantly through the village, because this was not the first disappearance. For weeks, people had vanished near the river after dark. That night, Kito could not sleep. Rain pounded his roof endlessly. Then sometime after midnight, knock, knock, knock. Slow, heavy knocks struck his door. Kito grabbed his spear. Who's there? A weak, trembling voice answered outside. Help me. It was the missing child. Kito's heart pounded. He slowly opened the door. But outside, nobody stood there. Only darkness and rain. Then he heard splashing from the direction of the river. Kito stepped outside carefully. Lightning flashed across the sky, and near the riverbank, a tall figure stood motionless in the rain, watching him. Kito tightened his grip on the spear. Another flash of lightning revealed the figure closer now, much closer. Then the thing smiled, and Kito realized its mouth stretched far wider than any human face should. What Kito saw near the river that night would reveal a secret buried for generations beneath Kasele village. And before dawn arrived, blood would return to the river once again. Lightning flashed one final time, and the creature began walking toward him through the red water. Slowly, smiling. Then the screen faded into darkness. But the true horror beneath the river has only begun. Subscribe now and return for part 2, where Kito discovers the terrifying secret hidden beneath Kasele village.